This is the Australian Mobile DJ Podcast. In this series, we'll talk to them, get to know them, and learn from them. And here's your host, DJ Bevo.
Hey, this time we're going a little bit further south, and we are right on the New South Wales Victorian border. Albury Wodonga is the town. We're catching up with Michael Banovic, affectionately known as Mimo. He works at Bowen's Entertainment, and he joins me down the line at the moment. Hello, Mimo. How are you?
Yes, it is Mimo. Yes, I am known as affectionately as Mimo, but Michael is my true name. But you've got to have a stage name these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course. Let's go back to where the name originated from.
That's a long story. Being that this year is 25 years that I've celebrating working for the one company. Where do I start? Some years ago, a good deal of us DJs in our organisation, there was anywhere from 13, 14, 15 at the time. We were executing various events from nightclubs to mobile DJs, weddings and so forth. And we did some training, some development training on how to develop your personality and be that front guy, to be out there and recognised. And so Steve had hired this personality trainer, DJ extraordinaire, someone who runs clubs and pubs and the like, and he was telling us his experiences. And one of the things he said was, you've got to have a name. You've got to have a recognisable, memorable name. Your original name might be just fine, but you're a name in the crowd, basically, and you'll get forgotten. So we took turns and we brainstormed each other, and one guy was, his name was Glenn, but he had a very big grin on his face, and I'm not sure if the listeners might actually know, but there's the Osmond family dating back in the 70s, and they were known for their wide grins on their face. So, we coined the name DJ Donny, or Donny Osmond, and that's how he got Glenn and became DJ Donny. Well, they looked at me, and I was, how can I put this lightly, the only one with an ethnic background in the group, being of a Croatian descent, and may remember a show called Acropolis now.
Oh, yes.
There was a character in there called Mimo, right? The rather flamboyant, out there sort of character. Well, they looked at me and I was nicknamed Mimo, although it's spelt differently. It's not M-I-M-M-O, it's M-I-M-O. So I have my own unique version.
25 years, hey? That's how long you've had the nickname for now. And congratulations, Mimo, for being in the industry for that long, and with the one company too.
Well, yes, I haven't really talked to anybody about this to great extent, but when referred to in the DJ industry, especially somebody working for the same employer, it's almost been, I've been told I've got a lifespan. Most DJs tend to move on after X amount of years or get other jobs. Well, I've been with this one organisation for 25 years, and proudly so. He's not only my boss, my friend, my mentor, he's one of the closest persons in my life, and I would do anything for him and his business and even his family. And it's given me so much joy and entertainment over the years, and I really do enjoy doing what I do for my clients.
That's beautiful. Well said, Mimo. Of course, talking about Steve Bowen there, the man, the legend that is Steve Bowen, that runs Bowen's Entertainment. How did you meet Steve for the first time? Do you recall that moment?
Oh, gosh. Well, Steve is synonymous with entertainment in our region, and has done many school disco, even in my, I dare say my later high school days.
Oh, yes.
One particular event he was doing was a good friend of mine's 18th birthday, and I had attended this birthday party. Well, Steve had for some reason not brought a set of headphones, and I was dabbling in some parties and DJing on the side with some very, very crude equipment, and earning a little bit of coin on the side, but not much. And I recall he hadn't had any headphones, so I said, look, I just live around the corner. I'll duck around. I've got some DJ gear and I've got a pair of headphones for you. And then we started conversing, and he said, here's my business card. It was a Saturday evening event, I think it was. Come see me on Monday. So I gave him a call and had a meeting, and I think that was a Monday, and I think within a week or so I did my first event and got my first feedback, and it was a partial negative. So what else are you going to do when you're learning? And I changed the way I did things and improved, and that was 1995.
Wow. Do you remember what sort of equipment you were using back then?
Oh, I didn't even set it up. That was it. See, I had no knowledge of the equipment. I knew how to use my own equipment, and Steve was going to organise another DJ to set up for me. All I had to do was bring my CDs. And yes, I started on CDs. I wasn't a vinyl DJ. And brought my 1 or 2 shoeboxes of CDs. So one of the things I learned from a very, very onset was you never can have enough music. And I remember being asked for requests at this particular 21st birthday party, and I couldn't achieve those requests. So I got a fairly negative feedback. So, yes, what does any DJ do? You run out and you buy hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars, end up becoming thousands of dollars worth of music, and you bring crates upon crates upon crates of CDs. But it was definitely an eye-opening experience, learning, basically being thrown into the deep end of how to work an event.
Playing music, there's more to DJing than just playing music, isn't there? Obviously, it's connecting with the crowd. What other elements do you like to put into your live shows? Well,
after 25 years, I actually do not consider myself as a DJ. But
wow.
When they say, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm an entertainer. And then, well, that goes different ways as well. But I broadly put myself into the category of a DJ because I do play music. In its simplest of essences, it is music playing. But because I consider myself a master of ceremonies, an MC, a coordinator, someone who assists not only function people, but families and couples and birthday people and corporate events, I'm very much integrated into the running of the entire event, not just playing music. And one example, when I do have a client meeting with a potential wedding client, which, I would say almost averages an hour and a half to 2 hours on the initial meeting, I may spend 10, 15 minutes talking about music. To me, the music is not the most vital component of my events. It's definitely the event as a whole, not just music.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. People think DJs just stand there, play music and pack up and go home, but there's a lot of people like yourself out there that are going above and beyond to make the experience more entertainment-based than just what's coming out of the speakers.
Oh, of course, and don't get me wrong, I still throw out the odd request and I'll get out there and dance with them too. There's nothing gives me greater pleasure to watch people enjoy themselves, to dance, to get out of their seats, to get Nana up out of her seat and having a bit of a dance is just music to my eyes, really. I want to make sure every bum is not on that seat and up there on the dance floor. But to get to that point, I want to make sure that, say, for example, at a wedding, there are certain elements have to be played out first. Everything's got a sequence, which, again, I go into greater detail with my clients.
When it comes to going above and beyond, I noticed that you do a lot of photography. How do you incorporate that into your events?
So I started some time ago, and with the software that we use, it actually can provide a slideshow. So it integrates within the software. It's called OTS AV, which proudly is an Australian company. I still use that. I do dabble in other software as well, Virtual DJ being one of them. What happened was I started taking photographs and then I started sending them. So I'd have a simple little camera, just the odd snap here and there, nothing too fancy. And clients really appreciated these odd extra photographs that they weren't getting from guests and they weren't definitely not getting from their professional photographers because, again, some photographers tend to finish at certain times or they work only certain hours and they may miss that very end of the night when you've got those fun dance moments or you're throwing that bouquet or garter or those hugs and kisses in a finale circle, for example. Well, it sort of spurred me to go further into my photography to capture these moments. Now, how do I do that? Well, I'm very lucky that now I use computer-based music and software control. So I do allow a computer to do a lot of the work while I step out onto that dance floor and interact with people as much as possible. And if I have to get in their face with a camera, they let me do it.
How does the wedding photographer usually respond when they see you out there taking photos if they're around at the same time? Do they feel like they're having you step on their toes a little bit?
We're quite lucky that in this area we have a very niche wedding market and event market, and we've established ourselves as professionals. So we communicate with every photographer. Now, keeping in mind, I do travel far and wide to do events as well. And when I do, I introduce myself to the photographer, videographer, and every professional that is involved in an event and say, look, I'm just taking the odd happy snap here or there, just a quick little photograph. I'm not going to get in your way in any way, shape or form, nor shoot over your shoulder. I don't want to recreate your photo, but I'm here to support you where I can. And then they know where their boundary is. I know where my boundary is, and we communicate. And that's the key to working together for the mutual successfulness of an event.
Absolutely. It sounds like a great idea. And I know from your presentation that you did at Beat Mix a few years back that a lot of people are incorporating that now into their own events. I know a guy by the name... what's Paul
Collier?
Collier, that's right. He's doing a similar sort of thing now, taking photos at events and playing them on the big screen.
Absolutely. I mean, again, being able to display them on various screens or projectors that are included in function venues, or I bring my own screens, simple, portable, small, but you don't want to show pictures from a distance. You want people to come closer.
Yeah.
And they come closer to you and they look at the screens and they go, wow, that's from the ceremony earlier today. How can I get a copy of that? And I say, I'll send it to the couple and you can ask them.
Yeah, good idea.
So, but what this allows me by connecting with people, not only as a DJ, as an MC, as a coordinator, but also as a group photographer. But I don't like to focus on groups. Yep. I'll go up to a random couple sitting at a table and I'll say, hey, you guys, how you going? Good. Do you want to put your arm around that person? Well, we just met. Well, do it anyway. And you'd be surprised. The most random of people that haven't met each other will now be hugging and kissing. And I'm not talking I'm talking anybody really. And they will band themselves together for a nice little photograph. And I've gone one step further in recent year or so. I take a small it's a little Canon selfie printer. It prints like little 6x4 photographs, really simple, really quick. And what I do is I go get the bride perhaps and maybe a grandparent, and I take a photo of them. Nice photo. And I immediately, within a few minutes, take it back, plug it into a tiny little printer, get those simple little picture frames. You know those cheap frames from Target, Kmart, all those little places. $4 or $5, something nice but simple. And then I put that photograph immediately into a frame.
Oh, wow.
And then I present it to that grandparent. I said, here's a little keepsake for you. Because you think, I tend to think about all age groups, and you can imagine that a lot of the older generations may not be so computer savvy. They like a good photo in a photo frame or a mantelpiece or hang it on the wall. Well, I want them to go away that night with a keepsake immediately. I don't want them to wait. So I give them a simple little photo. And trust me, it is the simplest and most effective thing you can do to win the hearts of an entire family and the clients and just about everybody that's there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what sort of reactions do you get when you do that?
Amazing. Tears, joy, happiness, gratitude. Wow. Everything that a professional wants from not only being paid to be a professional, but just to make you feel good about what you're doing. And something as simple as a photograph, a printout, and a cheap photo frame, you will win the hearts of an entire event.
Yeah, something that comes to mind is being able to not only make the couple's day, but also make the guest's day as well. And it makes it memorable doing little things like that really go a long way.
Of course, yes. That's just it. We win a lot of our continual work from word of mouth. I mean, advertising is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but word of mouth is more powerful and it's considerably more free too. So I'm doing several clients weddings that have been at a wedding that I'd done years before. Even I've got a client coming up for Kyalla, which is a little bit closer to Shepparton, purely on the suggestion by the function owners, the function venue owners.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it's that kind of word of mouth. Here, try this guy. He was fantastic at this Italian wedding, and they've got an Italian wedding. So when you're talking 250, 300 guests, well, that's something to, when word of mouth travels and they say you're a good DJ and you can handle that kind of crowd, well, continue to get more work is always going to be there.
Yes, definitely smart thinking. You are right on the border there between New South Wales and Victoria. Geez, you must have some challenges at the moment with border restrictions and COVID-19 lockdowns.
Well, that is true. And as of midnight tonight, our existing permits expire and a specialised permit must be enrolled for, if you can put it that way, which clearly states that you're crossing the border for certain reasons. Now, mine being that I have another job as well, I can now cross the border for work-related reasons. This is a job that I cannot do at home.
Yep.
But there are a lot of people locally that are finding it difficult, and it's not easy. COVID has definitely impacted our way of life, specifically border-related, which I believe is the same in Queensland, New South Wales, but we're experiencing this very same phenomena here in New South Wales and Victoria.
So how's it affecting you in terms of like guest numbers and being able to just basically play music and have people dance? Are you allowed to do that or not?
Well, that's just it. Being that we're well and truly within a winter environment, there's been next to no events that we've been a part of. The major events that I was booked for and had planned for a good 12 to 16 months, I recall at the beginning of the COVID crisis, I had actually... that very weekend when they announced that weddings were going to be cancelled, I contacted my client. Their wedding was a week later, the Sunday actually, I recall, and their wedding was the next Saturday. I called the groom-to-be and I said, mate, did you hear what happened? If you called the missus, they're likely to cancel weddings. And he didn't know. He had realised he was returning from his Bucks fishing weekend. So that event postponed till October of this year, but even now that's been postponed to next year. Wow. So it's cascading. The events that have moved from March this year to September, October this year are now cascading into next year.
Yeah. Makes it a headache for all involved, that's for sure. And, we can only do so much as DJs to accommodate.
But I feel for the function venues. I feel for the providers that we've worked so closely with to build a strong wedding community and function community. Everyone is feeling this from a business perspective. And there's so many destination location weddings in this region. It's definitely been difficult.
So Bowen's Entertainment, you've been there for 25 years now. How do we find out more about Steve's company?
Well, Bowen's Entertainment is on Facebook, of course, as well as our website, www.bowensentertainment.com.au. You can find us there. You can make inquiries as well. Don't hesitate. Give us a chat through Facebook as well. There's so many options. Look, we're always happy to have a chat. No obligations, of course. I mean, I've dealt with several clients that may not have gone ahead with us, but I'm just happy to sit with them to help them plan, because a lot of new wedding couples don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Michael Mimo Banovic, thank you for joining us on the Australian Mobile DJ podcast.
Thank you so much.
You too can find out more about the podcast by going to the website, which is the AustralianMobileDJ.com.au. We'll see you next time.
The Australian Mobile DJ podcast was hosted by DJ Bevo and produced by Matt Fulton Productions.